What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, CEO, MTS Nutrition. Now, I've been around this game a long time. In fact, I started modeling and doing all that stuff around 1999 is when I really started focusing on things. I really started, kicking it into high gear as far as diet and training. In that process, I have purposely and not purposely tried out different diets. One reason I tried out different diets is as what I consider someone who's an influencer to know what I'm talking about when people ask me a question about certain diets. Now, a lot of these come from when I was younger. For example, when I was 19 years old, when I first started on my journey to become, at that time I was into powerlifting, then I got into modeling, then I got into bodybuilding. I just want to know the best way to diet. And I'd read things, and working at Weeder Publications, working for the publications, I was able to read about stuff before it got hot. We were breaking news. And so I'd like to go over the 3 diets that I thought were the worst diets I've ever been on. Now, some of these were from application, where I simply misapplied them or misunderstood them. And some of these, in fact, most of them, were just really faulty diets. Now, number 1, I believe it's the way that I applied it. Number 1 would be the CKD, or the Cyclical Ketogenic Diet. In this diet, essentially, you eat ketogenic during the week, and then you carb up and eat whatever you want, have massive cheat days on the weekend. Or so I thought. Now, with ketosis, or what I deemed as ketosis at the time, essentially, what it was explained to us is that you could eat whatever you want and not count calories. And there's a lot of people who still talk about this. In fact, a lot of the carnivore guys are like, eat all the meat you want. And that might work with meat. Now, here's the deal. I did eat all I wanted. And then on the weekend, I'd have massive free meals, massive cheat meals. Oh, they were cheat. What I'd do is I'd go to like Albertsons, the grocery store. I lived in California. And I'd buy a frozen Oreo cake. Literally an ice cream cake, and I'd eat the whole damn thing myself. And I'd split it with my wife, and she did the same thing. Long story short, we weren't really in ketosis because we were eating a lot of peanuts and things like that, which I thought were keto friendly, and I was mistaken. And we were also just completely misapplying the whole entire thing. Not only do we feel like crap, we were eating a lot. We thought we were getting away with murder because we were literally eating ribs and all these amazing foods. We had no idea what we were doing. So we weren't in ketosis. We ended up feeling like crap. Our fat was high. Our protein was high. Our carbs during the week were in ketogenic range probably. But of course, we reversed everything on weekends by having that massive cheat day where we'd probably take in, I'd guess, 10,000 plus calories. Cookies and donuts and cake. Horrible idea. Now, I believe Dr. Squat Fred Hatfield, even before then, had a similar diet program where you dieted or ate clean for 5 days, even though it wasn't ketogenic. And then on the weekends, you just let loose. Now, let's just say that after about 3 to 4 weeks of doing this type of dieting, we realized that if we didn't stop, we would become obese, and we stopped. So the number 1 would be the CKD, the Cyclical Ketogenic Diet. That, I'd like to say, was misapplied because what I did is I thought because I was keto that I could eat whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and macros don't count. That was also my first foray into knowing that, yes, while there are other variables to dieting, at the end of the day, calories in, calories out are first and foremost, whether you gain or lose weight, being hypercaloric or hypocaloric. I don't care if you're keto, I don't care if you're paleo, I don't care if you're vegan, I don't care what you are. At the end of the day, you have to meet your caloric goals. Number 2, veganism. This was recent, within the last 2 years. Now, being that veganism is hot, and being that veganism, it was at the time, and I was really attacked viciously by vegan people just because I ate meat on this very channel. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. And also, I do believe that as far as altruism is concerned, I love animals. I don't want to kill my own meat. That's not me. The closest thing I've ever gone to hunting is going to Costco without a coupon. I am not a hunter. I am not an animal killer. I am not primal in that way. While I do things like box and lift weights, and I consider myself masculine, killing animals and hunting, just not my thing. I don't like killing things. It's not my thing. If that makes me a pussy, so be it. I know there's a lot of hunters. I respect them. I love them, but I have a lot of friends who hunt. But at the end of the day, it's just not me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give this veganism a try. So, and this is where I could have misapplied it. And if I do, I apologize to all my vegan friends. I went to Trader Joe's and Costco, and I bought all these vegan alternatives to meat. Better Than Meat, which is made out of some crap. I also got these black bean burgers from Costco, which was actually pretty good. Now, if you notice, even though I am a very huge advocate of sodium, I put Naturalite, which is my electrolyte product, in everything. I put Himalayan salt and sea salt on everything. I believe a lot of us who eat clean are basically null and void, or not getting in enough electrolytes. Now, all this vegan stuff I was eating, while it was meatless, was processed crap. So I was eating just processed, manufactured bullshit. I didn't do a whole food vegan diet. And I was getting my vegan protein from, different, vegan fake protein sources like the Better Than Meat, which is just, it's not better than meat. That's a fucking lie. The FTC should sue them. I was having the Boca burgers and this and that and the other. And, I was getting protein, was a good source. I was getting Planta from Ambrosia at the time. And so I was getting that. Of course, we have the vegan protein from Pervitum, which I was getting, and that was tasty. But other than that, man, I was eating processed garbage, a lot of carbohydrate. I got bloated. I didn't feel right. And honestly, the lack of nutrients that I was doing all the supplement stuff, man. I had my B12. I supplemented with things that vegans are lacking. But I found that not having fish oil and, not having meat, which is extremely nutrient dense and calorically dense, not only was I looking soft because of the many, many, many grams of sodium from the processed bullshit I was eating, but I wasn't feeling all there. I wasn't cognitively there. I only did it for, I believe, 3 or 4 weeks, and it was a horrible 3 or 4 weeks. I didn't really enjoy the vegan diet. It could have been from misapplication of the vegan diet, which I completely, there's so many different ways to do it. I was vegan, absolutely. But if you took even a carnivore-based or an omnivore, what I eat now, a balanced, mixed diet, if you were to just eat all processed crap, you're going to feel like crap. So it was probably, for veganism, a lot of misapplication. And I do believe that human diet, in its most optimal state, should include some meat. Beef is just almost by far the most nutrient-dense thing you could put into your body. So I feel that, while not the most ethical and altruistic diet, I do believe that a balanced diet that includes meat. Now, you don't need to have tons of meat. But I do believe that you can have a great diet. For example, if you were to take a vegan protein like Planta from Ambrosia, or Pervitum vegan protein, or whatever, and if you were to replace half of your animal protein intake with that, I believe you will have great results. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I do believe that there is a point where you could cut down on animal protein, and I'm doing that myself a little bit. I'm taking more Planta in my diet. But you know what? It just, the way I did it was wrong. So number 2 would be veganism, the way I applied it. Number 3, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It wasn't me, it was the diet. And that was the carnivore diet. Now, the carnivore diet, essentially you eat meat. And I actually talked to one of the biggest poster boys, I'd like to say, a guy I respect, I really like, he's always been great to me, Dr. Sean Baker, and he said, as long as it's from animals, you can have whey. So I was able to integrate MTS whey into the diet, and even as the diet went on, I actually took it out because I wanted to make sure that wasn't the culprit. Now, I'm not lactose intolerant. I handle whey just fine. In fact, right before I started this video, I just had a scoop of MTS whey with blueberries in it, a sludge. I'm not lactose intolerant. Now, think about the carnivore diet, you don't eat veggies. And you get all your food essentially from meat and eggs and things like that, basically animal products. Now, not only did I feel like my workouts weren't all there, even though I was taking in a copious amount of exogenous sodium, meaning my sodium coming from it was basically not from, I was adding salt to my food, and I was adding Naturalite and stuff like that. But essentially the lack of fiber, not only was my dietary boredom on fleek, not only did I gain some weight because they tell you not to count your macros, that it doesn't matter. So I did exactly what they said. Dr. Baker told me to eat I believe it was 4 pounds of meat a day or some shit like that. It was crazy. I ate ribeyes, which I'm not a big ribeye fan. I'm a lean steak kind of guy. It's just me. I was shitting water. Honestly, I felt better than I did on CKD and veganism on the carnivore diet. The main issue with the carnivore diet for me was digestion. I felt like I always had a ball in my stomach. I felt like I wasn't able to have appropriate bowel movements. I was pooping, but it was liquid. I was essentially in a constant state of diarrheal mess. And I was having dietary boredom, being that, at least with veganism, you know what? I could throw some sauce on some rice and call it dessert, right? There's a lot of good tasting vegan stuff out there. However, man, I gotta tell you, it just wasn't for me, dude. It just was not for me. Carnivore diet was not for me. And also, as I delve further into it, I listened to Dr. Rhonda Patrick on the Joe Rogan show. I listened to Jordan Peterson. Him and his daughter are, huge advocates. And of course, Sean Baker. And I read a lot of things online and researching it. I did some articles on it, some videos. And a lot of people, as I look closer to it, have existing autoimmune disorders. I do not have any autoimmune disorder. I'm in perfect health. I'm in beyond perfect health. And if you look at the blood markers for a lot of these people doing the carnivore diet, it's not really that impressive. So while I do not consider the carnivore diet to be an unhealthy diet, I believe that if you have an autoimmune disorder, it might be a great diet for you to explore. However, if you are a healthy individual who has no autoimmune disorder or food issues, then I think the carnivore diet is a lacking diet that lacks a lot of phytonutrients and different nutrients from fruits and vegetables. And I believe there are better for you. And I also believe that humans should eat plants. It is what it is. So with that said, my 3 top worst diets that I've ever tried, not the 3 worst, I'm sure there's worse. The 3 worst ones that I've ever tried is the CKD, Cyclical Ketogenic Diet, the Carnivore Diet, and veganism. What are your worst diets? I want to know. Comment down below. Really appreciate you guys watching. If you're not following me on Instagram, my Instagram is @Marc Lobliner. That's not a game.